Welcome back, Weather Kingdom. In this update, we are going to be taking a look at the tropics as we got a lot of tropical weather, but we also got a monster, devastating, impactful nor'easter that we are going to be really dissecting in this stream. But I will be back in about like 10 minutes. I will leave this kind of on. This is where everything's going to be setting up. So I will be back, Weather Kingdom. Just give me a few minutes. All right. Let me just quickly go on here. Welcome back, Weather Kingdom. I will be back in about 5 to 10 minutes. We're going to be taking a look at the Northeast as major impacts are expected. If you are new to the channel, please like and subscribe. It will be very greatly appreciated. Welcome back, Weather Kingdom. I am back. I am sorry for the wait. We are back. And we're now going to be talking about the tropics.
What the shit was that? Is he okay?
He's slim. I know he's good.
Alright, welcome back, everybody. What do you mean, Wanda? I live in New York on the coast. This is very bad. Should I worry about Southeast VA? Should I worry about the system in Western Long Island? We are back, and we're now going to be talking about the tropics. You guys, I was just watching the last little bit of the Yankees. I am sorry. But basically, we are going to be talking about the tropics and this East Coast monster storm. This is going to be with some major impacts. And we're going to be explaining it in this one right here in just a few minutes. Should I worry about... Everyone, night's going. Welcome back, Weather Kingdom. How is everybody's nights going? That's a very good question. So, we are going to be taking a look at this potential coastal low, and basically, we do have a little bit of interesting information going on here. This looks like to be the beginning signs of our coastal low here. It's pretty hard to see, but you can see it in the mid-levels. We do see winds move like this, and then we do see winds actually go back out like that. And we kind of see this piece of energy with some showers and some leftover vorticity. And then we have this cold front right here, all right? And this cold front will be actually going off the East Coast. And actually, very crazy that this cold front's actually going to be going all through Florida. This is more like a thing that we see in December. But Florida will actually be talking about their earliest potential 50 degrees days across northern Florida. And then southern Florida probably around the 60s. But this is a pretty interesting setup for this coastal low here. We also see some upper level features. Another, this is part of that long duration front that we've been dealing with. All right, 1 second. Huh. Let's just... Alright. Let's just quickly... Alright. So we are taking a look at the satellite. This is our low pressure. Basically what's going to happen here, this cold front is going to continue to move south. And it's going to meet up with this piece of energy right here. And then this is actually going to be steered into the Bahamas. And likely, we're going to get a spin of pressures here. My question is, how does this look like as we go into tomorrow and Friday and potentially Saturday? As things are very interesting. Yeah, it's... Yep, the Yankees are out, everybody. They are officially out. Alright, we got about 20 people here. What is up, everybody? Yeah, I noticed that. Alright, so we are actually going to be talking. We also got some recon in Jerry, Tropical Storm Jerry. It is likely to move out and not cause too much. It might make it very close, impactful, with some potential gusty winds in that. But this is likely going to be going out to sea, doing its casual thing. Jerry will not be an issue. Could be our next hurricane. Could it be big? I don't know. Right now, latest guidance looks like Jerry will honestly struggle for its life. And it might just make it a barely Category 1 status. And if it does, it will be a very big surprise. Yeah. So this is that latest thinking right now. It looks to me, if we are looking right here, this is our low-level center. Our low-level center is somewhere around here, right on this leading edge. And actually, when we take a look at this, the islands are actually getting pretty close. I'm a little bit interested on seeing if Jerry will actually maybe go a little bit more west because it's weak and actually hit some of these islands or go very close. That is a very big possibility I do believe that Jerry could do. But besides that, this is still going to go out to sea. It's going to be a weak storm. It's not going to be a strong storm. I think Jerry is pretty much doomsday, is pretty much done. When we take, I just want to take a quick look at Jerry. When we take a look at the hurricane model, generally has this becoming a Category 1 hurricane just north. And this on the latest HURF honestly struggles, maybe becomes a major hurricane still later in its forecast. But I honestly am not buying that anymore. I don't believe in Jerry, honestly. Because look at all the other models, very weak. Like this one wants it to struggle and actually hit the islands and then never become something. But there is something else that I would like to really watch, and something that we will have to pay a mind to is the Northeast. All right. So I want to explain a little bit on some of these questions here. So welcome back, Weather Kingdom. So basically, should I worry about this in Southeast Virginia? If you are in Southeast Virginia, if you are in Southeast Virginia, you should worried about this. I will be explaining all of the areas that need to watch. Another thing is I live in New York on the coast. This is very bad. Yes, if you are in New York, Long Island, New York City, along the coastal areas, this is going to be a devastating coastal impact storm, by the very least. The East Coast storm could be very similar to Wanda. So I want to actually explain it. I want to see what is Wanda 2021 weather storm. Are you talking about the Atlantic hurricane season? Ah! Very interesting. So okay. Wanda it became a tropical storm because it was a nor'easter. Okay. Yeah, it was in October. Nor'easter. Oh, wow. So, tropical storm struck the east coast of the United States late October. It originated from a non-tropical mid-level trough, developing into a bomb cyclone on October 27, causing flooding and power outages across New England. Wanda became a subtropical cyclone on the 30th, transitioned into a tropical storm. Wow. $200 million. That's pretty intense there. Okay, so this was the map of the Northeast. This is actually a little bit more of a concerning event. In my opinion, Wanda actually was way farther out to sea. Actually, this is going to be a lot worse than Wanda. This likely will be a lot worse because Wanda actually went way more out to sea, like all the way out here, where it really didn't brought any major impacts into New York, New Jersey, and these areas here. That was not a big thing with Wanda. Where Wanda was a massive problem was actually New England, because it did a loopy-loop right into Rhode Island. So these areas up here actually had the major impacts. So I want to see something here. If we can get live radar 2021 all season. I want to see if we could get a radar of 2021 season of nor'easter, late nor'easter October. I want to see if we could go back. So this was the October. I'm just taking a look at the nor'easter. You guys. Hey, David Saltower. Nice to see you, man. Nice to see you. Very greatly appreciate it. If you guys are new to the channel, please like and subscribe. Yes, I do know that. So Wanda was more... What's going to happen actually with this storm? This one's actually going to... when we take a look at this storm, it's going to actually go up the East Coast. And there's a few scenarios. This could stay like off the coast and then do a loopy-loop and then go out like Wanda. But this is not even going to hit New England. This is going to be a much more impactful storm. Generally, in where I'm circling here is where this is going to be more of the bigger issues this go around. It's not just going to be New England. This is actually a worse scenario, in my opinion. When we take a look. But there it is. So this can actually still have a potential where it actually makes a landfall and then go out. But this will be a very bad case scenario because anything just south of Florida, Long Island. So basically what this means, let me do a demonstration here. So if we get a low pressure off here, that's going to cave in into New Jersey right here. All this rainfall is going to crash right into the shoreline of Long Island, New Jersey, potentially even Delaware, wherever this sets up. Wanda was more of a bomb cycle that was farther out, where honestly a lot of its winds at this point, with the low being here, honestly the big surge was all the way out here. You see that? And what we had over here with this storm is we actually had not inflow. We actually had waves going the opposite. So it wasn't that bad. Also, we're dealing with king tides this go around. So it's much more worse. If you guys are new to the channel, please like and subscribe. That would be very greatly appreciated. We got 42 people here already watching. I know we cannot handle... let me actually just do a quick thing. We're going to start a super chat. Alright, so I just started the goal. If you guys would like to donate, please feel free to donate. That would be very greatly appreciated. We are at 10 likes. Let's get up to our goal to 20 likes. But this is Wanda compared to this potential storm. So now I want to take a look at how is this all going to develop, okay? And basically, we're going to go to East Coast. We're going to, I don't even know. Let me actually take a quick look. Oh, yeah, look at that. So this is the NAM model. It does have this area of low pressure. Actually, let's go southeast coast here. This is that. So there, let me actually go back to the East Coast. All right, sorry about that. East Coast here. basically we do get an area of spin, cold front, our piece of energy down here. This actually moves into this area. We have a cold front going right into there. And what we are going to see is winds going out like this, winds going out like this. This is going to actually be in very warm waters and it's beginning, but it's going to be a cold core storm. And this actually does deepen kind of like Wanda, but look how this circulates back in here. And what's going to happen is we could be talking about a potential, at least I think it's possible. I don't think it's too possible, but a subtropical storm is possible where we get a low pressure to develop in the Gulf Stream. But look at all this rain. This is this is that setup, what's going to be happening. We're going to get this cold front, and this is going to be a very large rain band. A frontal rain band that's going to be pivotal, absolutely slamming the Northeast. This is what we are concerned about here. Welcome back. So, yeah, look at that. This is already starting to bring impacts to North Carolina, the Outer Banks. This is going to be a big waves because you have to remember this right here. Look at the Titan gradient. We got a high pressure up here bringing the low like this. So this is bringing that onshore breeze here. And that's actually not helping this storm. So we got a bit of a high pressure here on the NAM. And then we got very strong winds actually coming back in here. So what this is actually creating two pressure gradients that are right next to each other. So these winds actually will be more of an enhanced wind. So that wind gust that I'm going to be showing you guys in the 850 millibar heights. It's not going to be exactly the big wind, but this is going to bring potentially 60 to 70 mile an hour winds in my opinion. And when we go out to 84 hours out, this quickly strengthens and this becomes a very strong storm. And I'm very interested if this becomes a warm core or anything, because this is the NAM model 0Z. This is about October 12th. This is in about 4 days. So today is Wednesday, so Thursday the 9th, the 10th on Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday. So this is about Sunday morning, all right, around 8 a.m. And we got a high pressure that's in 1033 just to the north here. And then we got a very strong 998 millibar storm that, could get tagged by the National Hurricane Center. But look at all this very heavy rain into the Carolinas, especially along the coast. Very, very strong winds that's going to be slamming. And you see all this moisture that's going to be slamming right against the coast here on the NAM. And this pressure gradient is going to really make these winds. This is going to be a wind-driven rainstorm, okay? This is going to be major impacts. Also, if you guys are new to the channel, please like and subscribe. That would be very greatly appreciated. All right? And this is likely going to be bringing some impacts according to NAM here. But this ain't the only model. We're going to be actually waiting on some of the 0Zs. This is actually one of the 0Zs. And it's not looking too pretty in my eyes. NAM 3KM is not even close yet. We'll have to wait a couple days into that. We'll get more into that. But this is actually the latest icon. We're going to stay here for the icon model. But when we take a look at the last icon model, it did have this low developing off the East Coast. And it does look like it will have some time into the warmer waters. But this is going to be a very large, and this is the icon here, a 999 millibar storm. And look at all this very heavy rain. This is going to be a very, very damaging rain and wind impact against the coast. And this is going to be driving in actually a lot more water than you guys are thinking. So if you guys are along these highways, these roads along this coast, do expect flooded out. So Twisted Trent, I want to actually read that. You did say, could we see a sandy kind of setup? You pretty much. I think that's actually I don't want to overhype it, but I do think this is gonna be like a smaller version of Hurricane Sandy. but this ain't going to be tagged. Also, thank you, DST, for the $10 donation. Very greatly appreciated, man. Love you guys. You guys are awesome. And once again, if you guys feel free to donate, that'll be very greatly appreciated. We're actually going to be here for the 0Z model runs, so please stay tuned. So, Twisted Trent, yes, this could be like a Hurricane Sandy setup. I'm very interested on its involvement, and then nor'easters are winter storms the last time I checked. Yes, winter storm. Let's rock. Questions later. All right, thank you, thank you, DST. Very greatly appreciate it. Also, SJLK is actually a nor'easter, is not just a winter storm. Yes, they majority happen in late October, November, December, January, and February. And even sometimes we get our March nor'easters and even our April. But a nor'easter is actually not what you think it is. It's not all about snow. It actually is basically thanks to the wind. This is a very, very similar nor'easter because, look, this is the north, right? So this is the north, and this is the east, all right? And look at this pressure gradient, all right? This is north right here on the storm. Oh, sorry about that. So this is north right here, but look at what's over here is east. And look at all these wind directions. It's coming from the east and north, and it's slamming along the coastal areas. And actually, why it's called a nor'easter is because of north and then easter. It's called, main thing is a low pressure bringing very, very strong winds into the northeast quadrant of the storm. So that's why nor'easters are present. And actually, we've seen nor'easters in the summertime. They're just not very likely because of the pattern and the dip in the jet stream. And I'll explain a little bit more about that. Yes. So I hope I help you explain that just a little bit better. But I'll explain it just in a little bit more better. But there it is. The model really likes to get this crank into a 993 here. And this is a very powerful nor'easter. I mean, this is just off the Carolinas, LaCour, in some of these very warm waters. So this could actually become potentially a subtropical storm. I want to see the 0Z Icon and GFS and Canadian and some of the ensembles. But look at that. This is a very tight gradient. Those winds are, by property of the wind, are more dense. Oh, my phone just died, so if I lose any of your comments, you're just going to have to give me 1 second here. Okay, so my phone is charging. Just give me, I'm still going to keep going. But we're going to go with the icon. I'll come back to your questions in the next few minutes until my phone charges, because I'm not going to set it up on there. But this is the icon, and look at this. This is actually the leftover of whatever, Jerry the Slop. But look at that. Very powerful storm. Basically what has happened is Jerry's going to be sheared. But look at that. We get a lot of, this is kind of like that cold front attachment. This is why I think a subtropical storm is very possible. It could not because of the very warm waters. But look at that. This is going to be actually tropical moisture. That's actually going to be helping to feed into this massive clump of rain to the northern. I mean, this is not good. This is not good because this is not just going to be bringing... this is actually going to be taking a little bit of Jerry's tropical features and actually be driving this into this large rain band on the icon. And look at that. This is just going to be rotating and bringing hours on hours of rain along the East Coast. Also, very, very strong easterly wind, especially up in the Northeast. This is going to be pushing all of that water, just pouring it. And actually, on some, I want to just quickly go here, but look at that. This comes from the Northeast. The winds slam back. Very heavy rain, very strong winds. Big, big coastal problems. This is the 18Z. I want to see how the 0Z goes. But this goes up the East Coast and pretty much brings, I mean, just hours. I mean, look at it. This is, 994 just off here. This could definitely be a little bit different this run. Look at that. Very heavy rain along the East Coast here. But not just that. With that high pressure and this trough angle, this is very strong winds. 30, 40, even 50 mile an hour wind gusts slamming. I do think the icon's going to trend a little bit more north and a little bit more that. But look at that. This thing will be really moving slow, just bringing, look at that. Just look at the northeast, especially in eastern PA. You are not just talking about a few hours. You're talking about multiple hours of just wind-swept rain. Like, you're going to be seeing just an easterly push of very strong winds and rain. And if you got any weak trees out there, this is not going to be a good storm, especially against the coast. This is just going to slam for hours. And look at the icon. And this core really actually tries to get going even further. It tries to slingshot. A few runs go at it much closer over here in different directions. I want to see the 0Z, but look at that. You're talking about hours on hours, like Hurricane Sandy just being off the coast, of slamming with impacts, okay? This is a very, very bad thing. This is some of the winds. This is not the best map to use, but look at that off the coast there. I mean, you're talking about easily 40 to even 45 knots of winds slamming with this band. That's 50 to 55 mile an hour winds. And look at that. Some of these winds actually get stronger and just slam. And I mean, even into Long Island, we're actually going to be using windy for the waves and stuff. But that's your icon on the 18Z. When we took a look at the 12Z, this was 12Z here. Did a little bit actually of a stronger, a 988. Look at that. Wow. This model just, I want to see what happens on the 0Z, but this would be worst case scenario, a 982 bomb out, easily 70 miles an hour winds against the coast, like a Hurricane Sandy, kind of, and slams bands of wind and rain for hours and even potentially days along the coastal areas, even further inland. This is 8 p.m. on Sunday, into the night on Sunday, and this just slams into the night. And actually, this does make a landfall like a Hurricane Sandy. It does actually get slingshotted right into the New Jersey's coast with some very major impacts, and actually starts to slowly weaken and then go out and actually become maybe another storm. But look at that. That's the 12Z. When we took a look at the 6Z, it had it doing something very similar, actually slamming right into the Jersey's coast right there, just like Hurricane Sandy. So it is very interesting that the models do have a little bit of a Hurricane Sandy feature. I would like to see on the latest 0Z icon here of what it will show. But just give me a second. I'm going to get a drink while we're waiting on the icon, and I'm going to check my phone and get the charger over here. So just give me one moment. Thank you. What? Oh, come on. And my phone wasn't even charging. This is why I hate. Just give me a second. I'm trying to get my phone to turn on. Alright, now it's charging. Alright, so, yep, that's the icon. Oh, icon just got it. Quite a bit more hours. There it is. Oh. I would like to see how this behaves here. We're going to have to wait for the icon to come in a little bit more. What's a good model is... Ooh. Look at that. Alright. I just got my phone back on. Just give me a second. I'm getting right back into the chats here. Alright. Alright. Alright, so it happens in the winter. Those winds are property. Dude, someone donate for a longer charger for this guy. Thank you, DST. Tom, Nor'easter going to shear Jerry. Yeah. Crazy. Will this be the first named winter storm of the 2025? Yeah, I know, right? Icon hasn't been the best this year. Let's be honest. Icon actually been doing pretty good this year. Also, Semiar, this will not be a name winter storm because it's just no winter features. It's no ice, no nothing. So this will not be this will be I think it's possible for a subtropical because I know we're still waiting on that, but I don't know. Because this low likes to generate, I mean, it's going to have a little bit. This is going to have generally in this area right in here. Alright. This low will actually go through the Gulf Stream. Okay, and if this actually hugs just off the coast a little bit, and stay in these warmer waters, I want to see how fast does this transition because this could actually deepen the low quite a bit and give it more of a warm core. This is the GFS here. Let's go here. This is actually the GFS. Develops the core just north of the Bahamas. But look at that. It gets slingshotted. And then it starts to deepen right near that Gulf Stream. And look at that. A 996 millibar storm. But a little bit more of a slingshot. Look at that. Very strong winds. Very heavy rain. Right there. Look at that. And this does look like it wants to deepen to 996, 995. I want to see if that deepens a little bit quicker. But look at that. A 993 on the GFS here. Very interesting. This is pretty much right against the coast here. Probably about 50 to 70 miles an hour just miles off the coast here. Bringing slamming impacts like the icon. Okay. This will actually bring very major impacts into these beaches right here, Long Island, all these inland areas with very, very strong winds, 40, 50 mile an hour wind gust. And look at that. This actually deepens, and it does become a 991 and then even a 990. But this never makes a landfall. It actually starts going out to sea. I want to see on the latest. That was the 18Z runs where it didn't have a making landfall. But I think we can easily go back to that where our low goes from like here, it goes here, and then it starts to turn like this. But look at that. You see some of these yellow bands? That's going to be some very strong northeasterly winds coming into the core of this system, while we're still going to have an onshore breeze with very heavy rain bands and strong winds all the way up to southern New England. This is kind of going to remind everyone like a blizzard in the wintertime. If this was a wintertime blizzard, this would be a 2-foot snowstorm. And then it kind of stalls there. Rain starts to break up, and then it goes out and becomes its own tropical storm just south of Bermuda. I don't know about that. His last run, it didn't even have that. GFS kind of all over, but look at that. Boom. It had something like that. 12Z had our low deepening into 992. Actually, a little bit stronger, yeah, on this. And it actually had it going up the coast and then out just a little bit further north. But look at that, 991. I mean, this is a still very major impactful storm. And then it does something like that. So, I want to see the latest 0Z runs tonight. Because they will be a very interesting stuff tonight. And then we go to 6Z. If you guys are new to the channel, please like and subscribe. But look at this is 6Z, 994, 991. Look at that, 989, 987. But look at that. That's a 987 millibar low just off of pretty much the beach of Wildwood, New Jersey. Look at the intense wind and rain. This will be bringing very large waves, very large impacts into these areas right here. I mean, look at that. Bam. And then had it going up. And then it actually had it making landfall right there. Boom, 989, 987, 989. And then makes landfall between about Sandy Hook and actually Wildwood, New Jersey. In New Jersey. And then it goes back and does that loop. So it is possible that this still makes its landfall. There's still some room, but it very deepens and very big problems on the latest models. The Euro model does something like the GFS where it actually keeps it a little bit weaker. It only shows it shows some very strong winds still. I mean, you're still talking about 30, 40 mile an hour winds easily along the coast here, right where I just circled with some rain bands. But it's not as deep, and I don't think the icon's actually picking it up fully right. It does try and deepen, but it does this weird thing where it's a little bit farther off the East Coast, but it still brings very major impacts. And then tries and makes a landfall, but then goes out to sea. 12Z had it going like this, a little bit stronger, but actually had it making landfall in just south into actually Delaware. Had it making landfall of the low, and then circling back out, and then actually going back up. Very interesting. Feeds right there. All right. European. No. Another model. I know we are Herf Parent. I want to show you guys this. This is some of the hurricane models. Generally, the thinking about the low. There it is. Our low does try and form. It gets wrapped up in here. There's our moisture. 993, and actually the hurricane models have it making landfall in Virginia, Eastern Virginia. One of the hurricane models has a pretty interesting nor'easter, and then it goes up and then does that loop. I don't think the Herf has it right there. When we take a look at Half's A parent, it doesn't even show Jerry, so damn it. Yeah, look at that. This is one. It has it weirdly. It has it going like actually it has it doing something like Wanda of 2021. where it does a loop just south of the... Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. Because as it's staying there, I don't think that's going to happen. So, these hurricane models are not even focused on it. So, I wouldn't even go off by it. Windy.com. I want to show you guys the waves here. Because we're going to be waiting a little bit on these models. I'm not looking forward for it. So we're going to take a look at that. Millibar. Settings. Alright, so this is the European model. Let's go into there. This is wind gusts. Look at that as the slow develops. We're talking about 47 miles an hour off the coast here. Look at that, 50 miles an hour. Once you go into South Carolina, I mean, it's 30, 25. Look at that, even off the Outer Banks here, already dealing with 40 mile an hour winds here on the European. By Friday around 3. Look at that. Let's go a little bit more. This is not even... Yeah, look at that. So this is when the low actually starts to develop. And I mean, this is already Saturday. And you're talking about along the coastal areas. 30 plus mile an hour winds. We already got an easterly winds. 20 to 25. But look along the coast here. 50 mile an hour winds on the latest. Some of these winds off the coast here, 65 plus miles an hour. But look at that. Some of these winds on here, 50 miles an hour, just slamming along here. One big thing for the Carolinas, if the Euro is right, look at that. Onshore waves. Look at that. Those waves are going to be crashing over these highways right here. It's going to be very impressive to see a lot of coastal damage potentially on this. Yeah, look at, wow. Wow, look at the Euro. I mean, it has it by, this is by Sunday in the morning. I mean, along the coastal areas, 60 potential, look at that, 55. And this is actually surface wind gust. This is the wind gust, you guys. 50 to 60 mile an hour wind gusts along the Outer Banks of the Carolinas, even in the Kitty Hawk, 40 plus miles an hour. I mean, very intense. Look at that. Long band. But look at all on the East Coast here. 30 to 35. Alright? Some of these right here, even up to almost 40 miles an hour into New Jersey. We got winds generally 20 to 25 inland here as this coastal low is developing here. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them away. Alright? But, wow. Look at that. This is by 4 a.m. here. Look at that. Some of these winds off here, 70 miles an hour. Some of these coastal. But look at that. Along these Outer Banks, even into Kitty Hawk, 50 plus mile an hour winds here. That's pretty intense winds, 50 plus. And, I mean, generally along the entire East Coast here, this is about, right along the East Coast, 35 to maybe even 40 miles an hour, all the way up the Eastern Seaboard. So this is going to be actually crashing waves right into some of these lakes, these crevices, and making this is going to be a long duration. Yeah, this is not even near that, but look at that. I'm taking this out slowly because we still got the GFS to do, but look at this coastal. I mean, wow, Euro just slams. Not just Kitty Walk, Virginia Beach here, 40 to 45 miles an hour. Some of these areas in Delaware, Maryland, along the East Coast, 40 to 45. Some even reaching 47. But look at that. Still 60 miles an hour winds along the outer banks of the Carolinas. This is... I'll get to the CAG. I'm kind of just focused right now on this. But look at that along the East Coast here. Like, look at that. This is Wildwood, 45 mile an hour winds. Even along the shoreline here, inland, like Philly, Trenton, 30 mile an hour winds on the Euro. And this is not even, this is actually the weakest out of them all. This is the weakest. So very, very strong gradient. Look at some of these winds off here. Hurricane force here. Very, very impressive. This is a little bit into about 12 p.m. And pretty much if you guys are along the East Coast of Virginia, Kitty Hawk still dealing with 50. The winds are now finally starting to go down 40 to 45 miles an hour along some of the outer banks of the Carolinas here. Go up actually. And you actually still got, 50 mile an hour winds being reported along even Wildwood. And just off the coast, you got 50 to 55 mile an hour winds. Some of these winds here reaching hurricane force off the coast here. Very powerful nor'easter. And all along inland, 30 miles an hour on average. Along the coastal areas, even into New York, like Long Island, potentially 50 mile an hour winds going right into here. Look at that. All along the coast, 40 to 50 mile an hour winds. Way out ahead of the big event. And then we go a little bit more. There it is. There's some of these areas off the coastal areas, like Ocean City, showing 55 mile an hour winds. Look at that. 50s into the 50s. Even a little bit inland. 45 to 50. So along the coast, potentially up to 55 mile an hour winds. Even along New Jersey. I mean, very impressive. And these winds are getting pretty strong now. Going into Sunday afternoon. Into eastern PA. 37, 38. Generally almost 40 mile an hour wind gusts. According to the Euro. With this heavy rainfall. Long Island. Look at that. 50 mile an hour winds into Long Island. Tom's River. 50 miles an hour. Stafford. Like 50 miles an hour along the East Coast. Look at that. 50 mile an hour winds, generally 30 to 35 to 40 mile an hour winds, gust along the inland of the East Coast. But look at that. The Euro gets even more aggressive. This coastal low really wraps up. These winds actually come back to the Carolinas once again, 50 miles an hour. Good news the other way. But look at that. Kitty Hawk, 60. Just along the coast, we are now dealing with 60 miles an hour. And just off the coast, 65 miles an hour. Very impressive. Let's just take a quick look at the icon. Oh, icon. Let's go into the eastern. Yep, look at the icon. The latest icon 72 hours out. Good news, the icon's weaker by 1 millibar, but bringing more impacts. Look at that. Still very heavy rain right here. Very big impacts on the icon. Latest run. Very impressive stuff here. Oh, yeah, look at that. It actually, wow, look at that. It's actually closer to the coast like the hurricane models. But look at that. The low does try and deepen here. I'd like to see what the... oh. Okay. So Icon actually has it making landfall into the Outer Banks. Going a little bit out. Staying pretty weak. But look at that. Actually makes a now landfall. Look at that. Look at the differences. It's a bit weaker on the Icon. But it does make a Hurricane Sandy landfall. Actually, south of New Jersey. That's interesting on the latest Icon. But look at some of these winds. Wow. Look at Ocean City reaching 60 all along the coast. 50 to 60 miles an hour. What really worries me is up here. Look at some of these winds off here. 60 miles an hour. Still dealing with 35, 40 mile an hour winds here on the... This is just one model. This is the weak one. And look at that. Things just get even worse. We're talking about into these Chesapeake Bay up to 60 to 65 miles an hour screaming along the coast. Easily 50 to 60 miles an hour winds. All and down the Jersey's coast here. That's impressive. And then look at that. This is Long Island area. This is as the coastal low continues. Generally 35 to 40 miles an hour inland. And then along here up to maybe 60 plus. Nantucket 65. Just south of here. Look at that. Screaming 70 mile an hour winds. And then as we keep going, look at New Jersey into the 50s. Some of these here is 40s. Look at that. Oh, wow. Look at that. The Euro just continues bringing it in. 60 mile an hour winds all along here. And then this is probably, about 60 mile an hour winds into the shoreline here on the European. This is only one model. Okay, that's the European showing 60s. 60 mile an hour winds. GFS, on the other hand, we're going to go through this a little bit quicker. Yeah, a little bit actually weaker. It shows about 40 to 50 mile an hour winds, but look at that. All along the coastal areas. Oh, never mind. Look at that. Yep. We awake. This is by Sunday 5 p.m. Look at that. We're talking about 55 to 60 miles an hour. I mean, look along the coast. Easily 60 reaching. Inland really dealing with that stronger wind gust here. Wow, look at the GFS. This is really bad. 65, almost 70 mile an hour winds. Wow, look at that. 50 miles an hour. Much more further inland with the GFS. Hey, I was actually making a joke with my weather team. It seems like the Northeast is going to be getting stronger winds than Florida ever did this hurricane season. And along the Gulf Coast. Look at along the GFS. I mean, it has 50 miles an hour winds going right into Dover. Almost 50 miles an hour into Philadelphia. All along the East Coast, 60 to 65 mile an hour winds. Oh, wow. Look at that. All of New York City 50s. We're talking about Trenton, Philadelphia 40. Icon. Oh. Oh, look at the icon. This was last run. Yeah, you got 60 mile. Alright. Yep. Oh. Icon goes ballistic. Icon likes to show 60 to about, wow, 65 mile an hour winds along the outer banks of the Carolinas. That is. Whew, this is about to be a. Yeah, look at that. We're talking about Kitty Hawk here, dealing with easy 60 mile an hour winds. Up there it is on the icon. Wow, look at all that along the East Coast. 50 to 60 mile an hour winds. Whoo! Damn, icon getting up to hurricane force very far out there, but look at that. That's almost 80 mile an hour winds. Oh, wow. Look at that. So that's the latest out of the waves. So Icon does something like that. That's interesting. GFS hasn't even started. Yeah, we're not going to do the GFS because I can't stay on here until like 1 in the morning. Jerry looks like a piece of crap. Huh. Alright. Yeah, I am tired. I want some good sleep tonight.